The next 2 pages were all about their government structure. So we've learned about different types of government. We learned about democracy in Greece and how all people had a say in their government, all people ruled. We've learned about a monarchy, which is where just a king or a queen is in charge. We've learned about a tyranny, where a military person just takes over. We've learned about an oligarchy and how upper class is in charge. Well, their type in Rome was called a republic. A republic is a form of government in which people elect their leaders, just like we have here in the United States. We have a different form of republic, but we are a republic. It's not a democracy where all people fully participate in the government. Okay? They can elect people that will lead them, just like we elect who's going to be in our government. We vote on who's going to be in our government. There were 3 classes of people, 3 social classes in Rome. They were the patricians, the plebeians, and the slaves. The patricians consisted of priests, government officials, and wealthy landowners who were considered upper class. So it was the rich people. The plebeians were common people, such as artisans who make things, laborers, and farmers. And then slaves were the lowest class, and usually they were captured in war, and they would have no role in the government. The plebeians could vote in the early Roman Republic, but only the patricians could hold office. So only the upper class could be in the government. Eventually, the plebeians fought for more rights, which was called the conflict of the orders. So looking more closely at what their government structure was like, there were 3 parts to their government: the magistrates, the Senate, and the assembly. The magistrates were 20 elected officials who ruled for 1 year. They performed many duties, like they acted as judges, tax collectors, and planners. And in order to prevent one person from becoming too powerful, these people could veto the decisions of others. Cicero was one of their council or statesman people, and he argued for the importance of a republic that shared power among many people. He thought it was dangerous for any one person to gain too much power. So that is why they are able to veto, which means say no to some other people's ideas. There's not just one person who holds all the power. Just like in our government in the United States, yes, the president is at the top, but he can't make every decision on his own. He has a Senate, just like they did, and a House of Representatives and governors who also have a say in what goes on. So the president can't just say something without talking to all of those people and getting them to vote on it, which they can also veto what the president says and say, no, that is not how it's going to go. We don't want one person to hold all the power. The Senate is made up of 300 men who at first were only selected from the patrician class, so the upper class. Eventually, over time, the plebeians also got to be a part of the Senate, and they hold that office for life. So they do it for once they're elected, they do it for the rest of their life. They advise the magistrates, and eventually they became such an important part of the government, and they started making laws dealing with money and with foreign policy. The third part of the government was the assembly, and that protects the rights of the plebeians. Okay, so they are making sure that the plebeians and also sometimes the slaves also have a say in their government. They can also veto what goes on at the top of the government. So it's similar to our government in that there are people in charge and no one holds all of the power, and we elect our officials. It's the same there, except at that time it was mainly the upper class that had that power.